Good evening, everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome to round 4 of the season of Invictus Racing League for Tier 2 around the majestic and fabulous first ever racetrack in Formula One's official calendar. I managed to reverberate my own self then, but I'm Jack TF53, your commentator, as always, for Invictus Racing League. I'm delighted to say that Xerox is with me again in Tier 2. Xerox, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, and with this week's set of races in Silverstone, the last 24 hours have felt like more than that. I don't know about you, but they have for me.
Yeah, there was a lot of action yesterday, wasn't there, in Tier 3, and there was a lot of incidents and red flags that we saw as well, which is an exceptional rarity. But here we are for the Tier 2 races. Just to give you a bit of an idea tonight, a little bit of a different change in the formation in terms of how we race around Silverstone for round 4. It's one of the 2 sprint events that we have this season. We have another one later on after the season break, but we have a one-shot qualifying session as a result, a sprint race which is 9 laps long, and then a feature race which is 26 laps, don't we, Xerox?
Yes, we do. And the one-shot qualifying definitely plays into the hands to those who actually have a better one-shot lap time rather than a full quali. Because I don't know about you, but if you can actually run a one-shot really well, you can actually get really high up in the placements for the start of the racing weekend. And we did actually have a handful of invalidations. That's the word I'm looking for. I believe there's like 3 or 4 invalidations, including myself yesterday.
Yeah, it seemed to be quite a lot, wasn't there? And I think what didn't help as well with that is the amount of the wet weather that we had for the qualifying session. You know, it was the only wet weather session that we had all the way through in Tier 3 yesterday. So maybe the drivers will have that to face at some point during the racing. We are in Britain, of course, so, you know, famous for our natural wet weather that we have at any point. What are your thoughts about this evening, Xerox? I mean, I know you'll have a look at the drivers' standings and run through in a minute, but who are you thinking tonight in terms of who could get a good result?
Well, we haven't seen any that I remember rain in Tier 2. So if we do get rain, whether qualifying or the sprint or feature race, we won't have any information on that until it actually happens. So it's really up to pretty much what our standings looks like. I'm still trying to pull that up right now. But Lee Harding in the chat, Rudo fan club, looking for someone else to support tonight. You weren't you here yesterday?
Yeah, obviously Rudo not in tonight, so his replacement is Doc Coke. Other brands, of course, are available if you prefer to drink another type of beverage. But we do have a good field tonight. We've got 19 drivers in, and you know, a really good, healthy set of regulations that we've got here at IRL, which is keeping the lobby numbers up. We've got a few drivers readying up, so I think we'll be ready to go soon.
And real quick, we don't have any updates on the Tier 2 standings as of right now. We only have Tier 3.
Well, that's a bit of a shame, because it would have been nice to have had you run through them. But Lucas won last week. He obviously got pole position, didn't he? I mean, he's got to be the favourite tonight, hasn't he?
Yeah, a lot of people are rooting him on, and I'm sure a lot more people are going to be rooting for JP9, especially with that race win. I believe that was his first race win. I don't believe that was verified or not. But loading in is we're going to have to wait and see what the weather's looking like, or we're going to have to wait till the drivers tells us whether or not we're going to get some rain today.
Yeah, very true. We'll see if that happens. I hope for some rain. I always like to see a bit of bit of good racecraft on offer, especially around Silverstone. The drivers are selecting their tyres based on the allocations that they can have between, well, what would be in theory practice and now this qualifying session. What are the? I'm gonna pass it over to you in a sec, Xerox. I'll let you ride on board with somebody for the session. But what are the key corners on this track you got to get right?
Definitely turns 3 and 4. If you can't get the entry exit there onto Booklands, is that how you say
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
And then the Maggots and Beckett's through 10, 11, 12, 13, and then the hanger straight of 14. If you can't get those right, you're going to lose a lot of time into those straights. And I do feel like there's a little bit more time coming through 6 and 7 as well.
Well, let's see how the drivers get on. You can see the weather in front of you. Very heavy cloud. If this was a short qualifying session, 18 minutes like we normally have, then you'd be expecting a bit of rain by the end of it, but it's a one shot, so we're going to miss that any form of weather alteration during the event. But we're due to start any second now, and off we go. And tell you what, Xerox, take us a lap on Silverstone.
I'm trying to get my audio. I'm not getting any
Ooh.
audio right now. I'm tabbed out. I'm on board with Edmund in the Williams as I'm trying to get my menu up. As he's jumping up there through top 5. We see Vasic up there, adds Lucas, Ivan as well coming through the Sector 1 straight here. The Booklands straight. I don't know if they actually have a name for this straight. But this long left-hander through turn 6, you can lose a lot of time if you're not taking the right line. But that really sets up for Cops, Maggots, and Beckett's through the back end of the track in Sector 2. And this is definitely where it comes in handy, where you have a lower downforce setup. You can see Joe and Kent are back there. He's 17 feet 18. But it is a one-shot quality. We may see some faster pace here in one shot that'll reflect towards our fast lap pace throughout the races. Since Joe has retired from the session, I don't know if he was running or not, or if he lost pace. But coming around this last few turns, 16, 17, 18, I had an incident where I was 3 wide coming into turn 16 there at the end of lap 1 yesterday, I believe during the main event.
Well,
But
that is the end of qualifying, and we were on board with Edmund through all of that, and he's qualified in P10. But I'm going to run through the standings. Ivan Belov gets pole position by 0.02 of a second. On the second row of the grid, we've got Vasek and Mr. Steen. You've got LDR Gamer and Ads Lucas on the third row. Yuri and Clips are 7th and 8th with Coke and Edmund rounding out the top 10. The top 10 separated by 4/10. Alex and Ricky Mario are on row 6 with Keza and Kerr row 7. And then Atsu and Kent are on row 8. And I had a suspicion that this was the case. Joe Hamster retiring, and I think he might have disqualified himself. Ronan and Lucas, our championship leader, both DSQing, so disqualifying himself at falling afoul of the track limits. They will start from the back of the grid for the sprint. The top 15 separated by a second, the top 14 separated by 3/4. That's incredibly close.
that's going to be a very good challenge for Lucas and Ronan, because if they're at the top of the leaderboard right now, we only have provisionals from last week's results. They're going to have to fight through the grid through the sprint and the feature race as we get ready for some clear weather. So I believe it's going to be all clear, even though we still have some clouds. I haven't heard from the driver's room about any rain, but it seems that Kent hasn't set up a proper setup, so he will be at a disadvantage today.
Yeah, he's not too pleased about his not having a setup, is he? So he's a bit disappointed about it. And with the field being as close as they are in qualifying, it's clearly evidently pointing towards, setup going to be key around here. And if he's going to be lacking in straight line speed and downforce, if it's not optimized, he's going to struggle, isn't he?
Yeah, and we're loading the grid here, waiting for players to finish their setups and be approved. I'm hoping that there's not going to be as much carnage as there was yesterday. There was carnage in the sprint and the main feature. And like you said earlier, we had our first red flag, I believe, in Invictus Racing League history. I don't know. I haven't really dived into that detail with Joe. But yeah, so they changed the setting there to see how it performs. And supposedly there were some time uh time timestamp? No. I
There were
might have
some
lost
delta
words.
issues, weren't they? I
Yes,
noticed
there
this
it is.
because just to come back to tier three, whilst we wait for tier two to get going, there was a delta timing issue where I was running in first place behind the safety car, and the delta time came up even though we were behind the safety car, which shouldn't happen. So there was some sort of glitch. So we are trying it out today to see if there's a little bit more realism, not only just for the racing, but also to make sure that there's ironed out any maybe glitches that could affect the lobby. And just a couple of comments coming in. Adam's got a big love for the Mercedes group, so we'll see how the Mercedes drivers get on. I think that will obviously be, off the top of my head, that'll be JP and Mr. Steen in the Mercedes. Lee saying P8 is the place to be on the grid for the sprints. Obviously, Lee started in 8th place yesterday and then won the sprint, so it went that for him. And Joel's also saying yes, Adam. So we should be having the formation lap, and it's underway. And let's have a look at the tyres, because that'll make a big difference in the sprint. And there's a nice mix of red and yellow there, isn't there, Xerox?
Yeah, I actually yesterday I saw quite a few medium tires and soft tires around me yesterday. I went with the mediums, to save the softs for the main race. Unfortunately, I was outed early through my first stint, but um, it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers today use these tires. And definitely seems like the people who are running medium tires do have that fast pace to be able to use them against the
Yeah.
soft tire runners.
I was speaking to Lucas yesterday, and he was saying that if you qualify in the top five, you're more better to be running those medium tyres. Now Lucas is starting in 19th, and the position that he's not normally used to, but he is still decided to run the medium tyres, which I think for the sprint around Silverstone is the right tyre to be on. There's a lot of high degradation on the soft compound. You can really only use it, I feel, with a few laps remaining in the race. And so those that are on the softs, and you're looking at the top two with obviously Ivan and JP, they're on the softs. LDR Gamer is on the softs, and Dot Coke is also, I was just calling him Coke, but I'm just going to make a point, it's Dot Coke. He's also on the soft tyres. So four of the top six are going to be vulnerable in the last, I'd say, 3 laps of this race, of this sprint. What do you think, Xerox? Would you agree with me, or are you going the other way, you
I
reckon?
I I pretty much agree. Towards the end of the race, I know the soft tires they don't like running past 10 laps, especially with the interval that we try to use, the 50% race distance. But it's good to see how they can manage the soft tires throughout the sprint and see if they can stay within the points. I believe it is top 8 for points as we have Ivan coming around turn 17 and then 18 to reform the grid. And while you watch the front of the grid, I'll be watching the back of the grid to see what kind of carnage we have for this start. And
Yeah.
hoping for the worst and expect the best, pretty much.
Well, I like that phrase. Let's see how that goes. We've got the cars just pulling into position, and once again, F123 is giving me some peculiar camera angles. But we have Lucas just rolling into position as a couple of drivers get reset. And that is it. Everyone is in position. The 5 red lights here for the sprint at Silverstone. And the race is live from Britain. It's a good start from the front row for the 2 soft tyre runners, but Vasek has got a great second launch, and he goes around the outside into turn 1. Mr. Steen's fighting with
Oh, a lot of
LDR
cars
Gamer.
going off track.
Looks like there's an accident in the background, but fortunately our cameraman has decided to look at some trees, and that really doesn't help. So we go into the exit of turn 4, and what had happened there? Looks like Edmund's gone backwards. You tell it from your perspective, Xerox. What happened?
Yeah, there was 3 wide coming into turn 1, and Edmund was on the inside, even though there were some cars going off track, and he lost traction, and now he's back in P19.
We got a
And it looks
yellow
like there's another spin
flag.
from Flip Fury. Don't know what happened there, but he's tail in the back of the pack.
That is as tight as you like, because you were commenting on Ivan, Vasek and JP not leaving a cigarette paper between the two of them. That was unbelievably tight going into Cop's corner. But as you rightfully say, Xerox, Ivan making a break for it because of the fighting going on. Here comes JP towards the outside line at turn number 15 at Stowe, and he breezes on through actually, and Edmund's gone round again. That's another yellow flag, but this is intense. LDR trying to go to the outside of Vale. It's going to be brave to go around there. We saw a few overtakes there yesterday, but nothing doing. And Coke up to 7th with Jiri.
Yeah, right now the South tires have the advantage on the straight line speed, depending on the setup. As we see Vasek, Mr. Cena, and Ads Lucas P4, 5, 6 on those medium tires. Coke has a little bit of ground to catch up. As JP now a second back behind, and that's the Alpha Tauri of Ronan. I don't know what's going on with him.
Oh, there's an Aston Martin as well.
Track.
Lucas, that's Lucas round. So Lucas went off into the grass. He's gotten rejoined, but he's down in 17th. So everyone from 16th backwards has had a bit of an awful start. So unfortunately for them, they're going to have to try and fight their way back through. There's yellow flags pinging everywhere, and it's Ronan again who's gone round all by himself.
I don't know if he's having traction issues, steering issues. I don't know. I keep scrolling off of him when he's trying to do stuff. But yeah, that interval is still 9/10 between JP9 and Ivan. And LDR Gamer closing in about 7/10 back behind two.
Really close between the front three, but the fighting for 4th position is very hard at the moment. And Vasek, who just got overtaken by Mr. Steen, is going to try and go back past him in the Aston Martin, and he moves up to 4th, and Coke goes through, trying to fizz his way around the outside of Lucas, and he does so with a lovely move at Stowe, and he just about defends his place. Does it? Oh, that's Ricky Maru's come up the inside from nowhere and pushed a few cars out of the way, and that'll be a steward's investigation, I'm sure. But Ricky just came out of nowhere. I don't know if he got tapped on the way through, and Yuri goes back past him. DRS enabled on lap 3, but already absolute carnage. Oh, wow!
That's a side swipe from Alex. I don't know who. I believe it was Alex on the inside.
Yeah, I saw that as well. Yeah.
I was on board with Ads Lucas when I saw that. I don't know if that's a connection issue or not. But now the interval's about a second between the top 3 runners. Mr. Steen fighting for P4 still with the Vasek. And then Cope trying to close that gap, less than a second here. As we're still on board with Ads Lucas, and he's trying to recover a little bit, trying to defend against the McLaren of Joe, as Kent is up in P9 ahead of him.
A good start for Kent, considering that he started quite far down from earlier on. If I just have a quick look, yeah, up 7 spots. So an amazing start for the McLaren. Almost got himself into the points for, well, the official Formula 1 point standings in terms of the sprints anyway. Ivan still just about a second clear of JP, who's got DRS, but they've dropped LDR Gamer at this point. Mr. Steen wiggling all over the road. He can only move once, and Vasek doesn't need a second invitation to go
Joe
through.
Makes an easy move on the inside. Now he has to cover for Alex. I'm lost for words already still. Lucas still trying to defend on that position. I've got so much going on in my mind trying to say what I'm trying to see. I'm seeing on the screen. But as Lucas still able to hold on to P11. Keza disconnected, I believe.
Yeah, it looks like it. That's a shame. That's a shame, isn't it? Yeah, he has rejoined now, so he's got back control of his car. There's another yellow flag out there, and it's Atsu this time. As the other Hask of Ricky Maru gets himself all out of shape on the exit
Token of Ferrari trying to make
turn
a move
4.
on the Mercedes with Mr. Steen. Not quite yet. The Haas of Ricky Maru holding off against Jiri Clement.
It seems to be the biggest fights at the moment range from roughly 4th place down to what is 13th. So the mid-pack are having a huge scrap at the minute. And there is a lot going on. Unfortunately, Silverstone's camera directors have finally got a hold of this situation. We can actually see what's going. Whoa, as Joe Hamster flies off the road. As does Ads Lucas at Cop's corner. But might not fall foul of track limits just yet. We're on board with Ricky in the Haas, right behind the Ferrari. But that Ferrari, pulling away in a straight line, got a bit of Straight line speed for sure. And still, no change on this half of the lap, which is nice to
Yeah,
get a breather.
JP9 slowly taking away that gap, about 7/10 now, as that's about a 3.1 second gap on LDR Gamer between him and JP9. Pope, the other Ferrari, still trying to put in on Mr. Team on the mediums. And that's going to be Ronan. I don't know. That's Keza. I don't know what happened with Keza. Looked like he was coming out of the corner for Chapel, turn 14. I don't know what happened. We're going to get him. Well, let me back into my car, so disconnecting and reconnecting.
I've just seen a few things going on with the timing tower, a few drivers going off the road, then it's almost impossible to keep up with the action, but Coke has gone past Clips, and Lucas, in a matter of corners, is now up to 9th. Considering when I was last on board with him, he was 13th. There's been some shenanigans going on in the midfield, and he's managed to get away with it. So Lucas is back up to 9th, which is lucky for him. Now he's got a bit of a... He's got to try and get up to the back of Alex and get into the top 8.
It's going to be a 3/10 back behind Ivan, coming along the back straight. And lap 5, the end of lap 5, we're going to start seeing that pace on those stops maybe slow down as those medium tires may be able to close the gap. We'll have to wait and see if they can there towards the end of the race. JP9, he's going to move into turn 1. And they're playing smart. They got plenty more of racing to do today.
Oh, your mic is giving back an awful amount of feedback. I'm not sure what's going on there for yourself, Xerox. I'll let you have a little play about with it. But JP9 in the lead of the race at the moment. And let's see if those soft tyres do start to indeed fall off. There's a couple of gaps appearing around the track. Lucas, by the way, up to 8th on those mediums. See if he can make any more progress on the 2 McLarens in front of him. As Lucas is under pressure from Kerr. And Kerr just trying to find a way through. Ricky Marrow is retired from the session. He's out of the race. I saw both Hasses having a bit of a nightmare, and it's unfortunately gone from bad to worse for them. And Kez is saying, yeah, he couldn't, as you rightfully pointed out, Xerox, he couldn't get in control of his car. And Kerr goes on through for a nice DRS pass down, well, the straight between Aintree and Brooklands. There isn't an official name for it. It's just on the back straight, what they normally call it. Ivan's still hanging on to the back of JP9 though. He's not giving up this. These guys 4 seconds clear of LDR Gamer, who's 2 seconds clear of Mr. Steam.
They're playing smart. They're leapfrogging and not wanting to force anything that they don't need to. And it seems like they're increasing that gap. And I think that little feedback was the fact that my microphone, in order to talk to you, is hanging off on my headset. So it's trying to work with what we got. There's 4.3 seconds now. Vasic and Mr. Steen still fighting for position here. Caution in second one. That's the pass of Ricky Mario is not yet.
I wonder if Mr. Steen had a little moment on the exit of Stowe, because he was in front of Vasek, and then when I cut to him, he was a few temps backwards. So I wonder if he's had a little half slide somewhere mid-corner and Vasek's just took advantage. Speaking of taking advantage, Lucas and Alex. Alex, despite being overtaken, has used the DRS to roll up with Lucas to the back of the 2 McLarens. You're going to have to try and work together now to stop the Aston Martin making any more progress. There's your first time penalty of the day as Joe lets Kent through relatively easily there. I think they know that they're going to have to work together to try and keep these positions.
The 4.5 second gap between P3 and the top 2. I think the McLarens are going to try to do the same thing, but it seems that Kent may have a little bit more pace, and Joe's just holding off and defending against Lucas in P8. He's made some pretty good ground. Ronan's still sitting back in P17. We still have a full race ahead of us, so they can definitely fight for more points. But Ivan and JT are basically going to leapfrog till the end of the race to see who actually gets the win. As we see the McLarens back and forth. Lucas trying to make a move on the inside. Joe covers off.
Yeah, but Kent's
just under 2 seconds ahead of them. They're still trying to close that gap.
Yeah, Kent lost. Kent was in 6th place before they got to the Angus Straight and had no battery whatsoever. So just got absolutely railroaded going into Stowe and lost 2 places. And Lucas in the ascendancy here. Is he going to try it into turn 3? It would have been brave if he had. And he'll be right with his teammate, with Vasek. So those two Aston Martins will be together in position. Whether he'll catch them with a lap to go after this one, that will be certainly a challenge. Here comes Lucas, DRS wide open, we're on board with him. Joe goes to the inside as they approach Brooklands. And Lucas thinks better of it for now. But the front two and a bit tenths away from one another. This is a close fight at the front.
Yeah, I'm paying more attention with the McLarens and the Aston Martins, like you're saying. Lucas is still holding on to that gap between him and Joe, Kent, and Alex, trying to close in, make it a four-way fight for P6.
Here comes JP then for the race lead. He's got DRS wide open. Ivan trying to cut the gap off for him, but it does not quite really work for that one. Cutting a little bit further back, Joe. This is going to be a straightforward move for Lucas, and is Kent going to get him? I don't think he's got enough battery to get close enough. So the two Aston Martins and the two McLarens, 5th and 6th, 7th and 8th respectively. Lucas has got a lap to go to try and make an impression on the top 4, but that's going to be tough.
Yeah, so you're looking at the grid right now. Top 3 are soft, next 3 are medium, 10, 7, 8, 9 are soft. It's definitely a change for the order with the tire compounds as of right now for the sprint. But yeah, Alex closing in on Kent finally in the Alfa Romeo, and Jiri Clement about 1.2 seconds back and trying to close in. You can see that gap closes fairly decently as he gets around a second now on the final lap, as we're about almost halfway through. And JP9 has about a 5/10 to 6/10 gap on Ivan.
Yeah, this is really close. This is the final lap, and they're all, both of them are absolutely pushing. JP's got some fans in the chat in terms of Caden Mackay and others. They're really rooting for the Mercedes man. There's just one big opportunity now for the Ferrari to get close, but realistically, he's quite far away, and JP's on the battery. They both are. They approach the 15th corner at Stowe, and Ivan isn't quite close enough, and he gets a bit of understeer mid-corner, and you feel that JP just has a couple of more corners to navigate. This has been a great drive. These two have been in a league of their own, but JP wins this fight for the sprint. It's JP who wins, and Ivan second.
There at the end, but yeah, JP9 previously just won his first race in this season. Now it's his first sprint race, so he's got both of those and pretty good points for the sprint. Let's see if he can hold on to that.
Well, that was a lot of fast action in that race, but LDR Gamer kind of had a bit of a run by himself to finish third. He had a lonely race, but he'll be chuffed to bits with that. That's a good result for him, a bit of a confidence booster. Last week he finished 11th last week at Baku. He didn't have the best of times around Azerbaijan, but he's got himself on the podium for the sprint, and I'm sure he's quite pleased with that. Good result for Mr. Steen as well. Good to see him up there, showing a good bit of performance. And obviously, as we said before, the two Aston Martins and the two McLarens doing quite well to finish where they were, especially Kent and Lucas. Those two started way low down, but in the top 8.
Yeah, Lucas Waha definitely getting driver of the day because he disqualified at the beginning, and 13 positions. He worked his way up into 6.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a quick run through the sprint classification, the provisional results, with JP and Ivan and LDR on the podium. You've got Mr. Steen, Vasek, Lucas, Joe and Kent. In terms of your official points finishes from F1 official point scoring, not for Invictus. That's a little bit different. We'll talk about that later. We've got Yuri and Alex round out the top 10 with Kurt, Ads, Lucas, Clips, Coke, Edmund and Atsu and Ronin, the only other finishes outside the top 10. Ricky Maru and Keza retiring from the Grand Prix. And looking at the fastest lap, I'm looking at it, and the top guys doing 28.1s, but that is ominous from Lucas. A 28.6 on the mediums, only half a second slower than the fastest lap set on the softs. That's great driving. I'm looking forward to Lucas and JP9s, and of course Evans fight at the front if Lucas can join them, because I think that could be some fireworks there today, and it looks quite
Yeah,
overcast, doesn't
so
it?
it does. The two McLarens and Lucas definitely going to have to bring that fight to the main race. At least the other finish they had. And still, no sign of rain in the driver's room. But yeah, those McLarens, the Aston Martin, and then the JP and Ivan going on that, we're going to have definitely an interesting race. And see how well they can manage those tires if they are on a faster setup.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see how that works out. Obviously, I know that Xerox will be jumping out of the pit box in a minute just to have a look with his umbrella to see whether it's raining. And see what the drivers are saying. There's quite a lot of comments coming. It's great to see all of you in the comments and so many people watching today. If you are watching and you haven't done so already, please give the stream a like. It means a great deal to Invictus Racing League and for our partner as well, Venturi Studios. They're the ones who create the graphics that you see all across IRL, and as well as that on the thumbnails, they turn those dreams into reality, of course. So if you've got something, a vision in mind, have a chat with them. They'll do certainly help you out in designing that creative bust that you may need. What do you reckon, Xerox? Is it going to rain or is it going to stay dry? What's your prediction?
With it's solid overcast, so we may see some rain at the end. It may play out like it did in Azerbaijan, where we do extend the race out with some virtual safety cars and safety cars. You may hit some rain at the end, but yeah, still no word of rain, as the admins are saying to ready up as we get ever so closer to this main event. And so far, a pretty clean sprint race compared to yesterday. Also going off of what you said about Venturi Studios thumbnail for this week. If you guys haven't seen the one from yesterday, you can check that out. And I feel like that was a really good shot there. 116 with the Aston Martin and the Ferrari.
Yeah, let us see how it all plays out in the coming seconds. If everybody's ready up, we'll be due to go racing, and there we go. We've got the formation lap beginning. The green light on the gantry signals that, and away they set off. The timing tower has returned to us, so that's good news. We didn't want to lose it during the small breather that the drivers have between the sprint and the race. Let's have a look at the tyre compounds. I'd be fascinated to see. Yes, okay, completely different from the sprint. We've got 7 drivers on the mediums, everyone else on the hard compound tyres.
So long run with overcast, try to stretch out the longevity of those hard tires, most likely. And we got Kadan McKay, I don't know if I said your name right, JP winning, I'd say. If you can hold on to the medium, I don't know, medium soft, maybe medium hard. I'll have to wait and see.
I think depending on how the race goes, obviously, I mean, the drivers who are on the mediums, they will be hoping that they can get a few laps in on that tyre. There's the possible strategy. So as Xerox was saying, potentially an inverse of that medium soft or hard to medium for everybody else. We could see a split bank of strategy, whether it's a 1 or a 2 stop. But I think the hard to medium or medium to hard also is a strategy to be aware of. But if we get a safety car, we get a VSC, it'll just change the race on its head, won't it?
Yeah, because like you said earlier, those soft tires, especially on this track, those high-speed turns, put a lot of wear and tear into those tires really quick. And we may see 1 or 2 sets of soft tires if there's no incident. But if there is an incident later on, about halfway through, we may see a long set of soft tires. As it looks like we have a disconnect from Coke. He has about 1 sector left to rejoin. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and walk over to him. He ghosted out. He's trying to reconnect. And he's relaunching his team. So he'll most likely rejoin after the lights go out. There's GP9 comes around the last corner to get his grid box. We had a few people go over their grid boxes, but we'll see how they do this time around.
Can see a few people who are commenting. Caden saying JP to win. Looking at Eli's agreeing with Caden on that one. Merck saying Lucas will be at the top for sure. So there's a few comments that are coming in, but we've got the green flag running in the background just then. The lights are coming on for the feature race here at Silverstone. And the race is live from Silverstone. What a start from Ivan. JP reacted way too late, and the Ferrari is into the lead of the Grand Prix. You've got LDR in third. Mr. Steen is in fourth place. The two Aston Martins are together. One of the McLarens, Kent's gone flying backwards. An awful start for him, as everybody else goes fighting into turn 2 and 3.
I saw an end plate, I believe. I don't know whose it was. I'm trying to look through the grid here on the backpack. But, yeah. It seems like a very clean Sector 1 so far. Coming along the first DRS straight here.
Oh, a little bit of contact between Lucas and Joe. I think they've managed to survive that one. Alex has taken advantage by going all the way around the outside of Luffield at turn 7. That's a good move. So he gets in front. He's trying to get around Lucas as well, but I don't think that's going to be an easy move to pass at Cops. Oh, and Alex runs all over the road. He might get a warning for that.
As backing off there, coming through. Nice and Beckett. I know what's going on there.
Now JP.
Any damage, most likely.
Yeah, JP is on the back of Ivan. He wants to get on with this as soon as possible. He's got to get past that Ferrari. But he decides against it and slots in behind. And the mediums, they'll last for a couple of laps, but the performance advantage that they have does not go for as long as you might expect. And that's someone diving into the pit lane. I didn't quite see who that was. It's Joe. He must have been the one with the end plate, and adds Lucas's round as well. So a bit of a nightmare for both Alpines in the pits. Sorry, that's not gone well for them at all.
Yeah, both Alpines yesterday weren't having much fun either. But early stop from Joe, yeah, that end plate there. And end plate from Geary Lament, and I believe Lucas is spun out beforehand.
Yeah, Lucas, my correction on that. Lucas actually just spun out and then got back on track, so he didn't go into the pits. JP trying to go around the outside of Ivan. He's going to try and go then all the way around the outside of Luffield. He's still got a wheel there, but the natural inclination of that corner takes it away from him. So he's going to have to just slot in behind and wait for another opportunity. But the top 7 drivers, all the way from Kent in 8th place, they've gapped him already. And this might be your leading fight group so far.
JP9 staying within that toe of Ivan. Trying to make a move here, coming out of Magnuson Beck to the Chapel corner and Hanger straight, using that ERS to his advantage on the inside. And I feel like they're going to be leapfrogging here the first few laps as soon as the medium tires do settle in.
They're still side by side as they go into the penultimate corner. They've amazingly not lent on one another too much, but JP gets the move done. Nice clean racing between these guys. Really good action on track. And LDR Gamer has closed right up. I was watching on board of LDR because he had the best view. Can he get past Ivan? No, not quite. But DRS is now enabled on lap 3 of the race. That's the drag reduction system. You can see we're on board of Mr. Steen. When we come towards that DRS line, there we are. The DRS wing slot goes open. You're right. Oh, that was
tire contact there. Nice push on the AlphaTauri there for the Ferrari. Ivan still managing to hold on to P2. Moving back, the Aston Martin still trying to close in on the Mercedes of Mr. Steen. And still, like you said, the train all the way back to P7. Kent still trying to close in, but he has another train behind him of Atsu, Ronan, Edmund. Ronan moving up to P10 so far, and it's only 3 laps in. He's running a really good race so far.
Yeah, he's had a really good start, up 7 places. Him and Atsu have had a cracking start, so they're delighted with that. DRS, though, is enabled this time. There's a move going on in the background between Vasek and Lucas.
Side by side.
And they do swap.
There.
Although Lucas went...
A little bit of off-track action from Lucas there.
Lucas went flying off the road and gives the place back, so I'm not really sure if Lucas just got it wrong.
They've gotten it wrong, or a little bit of an adjustment that he needed to make, or will make for the next time around. And so we
He's
have Atsu about half a second back behind Kent, McLaren, the leading McLaren. And they're coming through turn 4.
It looks like Kent's almost back on terms as well, isn't it? That gap was 2 seconds. It's
Yeah.
now below DRS. So this group will become a mega group. And we'll see if they can close together. But Ivan still not in a position yet to try and repass JP9. But this is what I was getting at before, that the medium tyre, as a race tyre at this early stage, is not the best tyre to be on. It doesn't really have much pace in it compared to the hards. And I feel like in these cooler conditions, the hard tyre just seems to be working quite well at the minute. I'm not sure why that is. Normally it's the other way around. Normally the hard tyre, when it's a little bit warmer, it'd be operating better than the mediums. But for whatever reason, Silverstone is providing a bit of inverted action there.
Yeah, the medium tires definitely perform a lot more like the hard tires than the soft on the track. And we have a little bit of three-place action. I don't know if anybody has significant damage back there between the Alpine and the McLaren. Ferrari is unable to bugged out. Won't let him take over. So that's going to be the Ferrari out, our first DNF of the race. A little bit of push and shove on Roden and Edmund. Edmund spins out. I don't know if there was contact. I didn't see contact.
Save of the day goes to Atsu as a safety car gets called out. Atsu was opposite lock through turn 1. That was outstanding car control. He about survives, and a safety car at this point of the race is perfect for those on the medium tyres. Jump onto the hards, and they could, it's a tall order, but they could last all the way to the end. So anybody wants to be brave enough, we shall see.
Yeah, so I was actually on board with Edmund and the Williams coming through turn 18. I don't know if he actually made contact with Ronan in the Alpha Tauri, or if he took too much curve there in turn 18 and spun the car. But there was some ghosting as the Red Bulls did catch him. If anybody else noticed, I don't know if you were on board with them. I don't think you were. But yeah, early safety car, lap 5. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some hard numbers opting in for a medium stop for the remainder of this race.
It's not a bad shout at all. We'll wait and see. I'm curious to see if anyone on the mediums will come into the pits, because they're the ones who could benefit massively from this. And JP decides not to. Mr. Steen, LDR decide not to. Alex carries on. And anybody further down? Yeah, Atsu has pitted. So you called it, Xerox. One of the hard tyre runners has decided to come into the pits, as has a couple of others.
Yeah, there's clips here in the mediums. I believe the mediums at this point, especially on Silverstone, may have like 25 to 35% wear and tear. So it looks like some people coming onto the hards, looks like the hard tire runners are coming onto the mediums.
And that's pretty much everybody outside of the top 10 at the moment. So Joe and Jip.
Ricky Morrow on the
yeah. Now, does he think it's going to rain? Because that's a shock. I'm looking at the sky. I'm not seeing anything. I'm looking on the driver's side. There's a bit of a mess going on with the safety car. Everyone's slowing down. I'm just watching the T-cams of the drivers further up the field. Is there any rain? I can't see any spots. So
I have no idea what's going on right now. I'm not seeing any drops. Maybe the same situation like we had last week, where people in the race are saying that there's rain, but the announcers are saying they don't see it.
Well, it's a brave call from team principal Komatsu to put the second of the Haas drivers on the road, Ricky Maru, on a set of intermediates. But he's got time to catch up to the safety car. He doesn't need to push and go unbelievably over the limit. So, I think that's a really early call.
Merckx is saying Ricky Maru will hit again to get rid of the penalty. 5-second penalty.
Okay.
So
maybe there is
a regular set of tires.
Yeah.
Using the intermediate. So a little bit of a scare there. Thank you, Merckx, for the information.
That is interesting.
Strategy there from the Haas.
And that's true because he's got a 5 second pit lane speed penalty. So I wonder if that is what has caused it. And just keep an eye out, Xerox, to see if he comes into the pits.
He is
Oh,
coming
that's
to
it.
the pit.
Lucas has been hit. Lucas under safety car has been turned around and he's gone from 6th to 14th. What was that about?
I don't know. I was on board with the Haas, like you said, to serve that penalty.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Did you see what happened there?
I just saw the Lucas going towards turn number 16 as he approached club, facing the wrong way. I think there's no way he would have the way that the speed of which he turned around. There's no way he could have done that himself. He must have been hit from behind to have caused that, because it looked like it was getting very close amongst the drivers. I wonder if there's been some contact.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say who it might be with because we didn't quite see it clearly, so it's not fair. But Lucas just seems to be Silverstone. He's not having the best of times today, is he? He had the disqualification
and the safest bet right now, I believe, if the safety car doesn't come in this lap, which I honestly felt like it will come in at the end of the next lap, but the Haas and the McLaren are catching up, so it may be able to come in this lap. Spacing on every track is key to not hit anybody or hit the safety car. But on tracks like Silverstone, when you have a high-speed track like this, you want to be as close to the person in front of you as possible. Like you see a little bit of a scrunch up here on board with Lucas as put Ronan after Keza all spread out, making sure not to touch anyone.
It's interesting because the safety car around here is so slow.
Everybody's here on the grid, and
safety cars in, yeah.
Joe showed up just in time.
What is going on with Alex? Alex keeps swapping places with drivers. I need to have a look in to see what's going on there. There's a few times that's happened, but let's turn our attention to the race lead. JP9 weaving, getting some heat into those Pirelli medium compound tyres. You've got Ivan right behind on the hards. They're both in good places in this race, and we'll wait to see where JP9 decides to launch. He said yesterday he'd think about going at the penultimate corner when he was commentating on Tier 3. He's not gone yet. He's still... Now he goes. And Ivan's right with him. So his advantage, he keeps the lead. He shouldn't be under pressure into the big heavy braking zone at turn 3. He should be fine. He runs wide, though, at turn 1. Not ideal. But the race is resumed and we're back underway.
I'm on board with LDR Gamer, and he ran wide through that same turn 1 as he's sticking pretty close to him. Mr. Steen about 5 seconds back as Alex, 3 seconds penalty for multiple warnings, and I believe he was off track.
I don't really know what's happened to Alex, but he's gone right off the road. He's trying to rejoin, and he's going to rejoin very clumsily down in 14th place. I don't quite know what happened there. It looked a bit weird from the perspective that we had. But one car, Alfa Romeo, vacating the top 8. The other one decides to rejoin it. Keza up to 7th and putting the pressure on Kent. He's going to look to the outside of Cops. This is brave, and sure enough, he have to back out of those ones. You can't go side by side through Cops without having a mother and a father of a shunt.
Yeah. LDR Gamer still holding on to a 5/10, 6/10 as they're coming through Maggots and Beckett. Ivan still holding on to the toes, JP9, and he leads 4/10 now. And Ivan's closing in, may be able to make a move on the inside, and he does not.
Whoa, that was a late move from Kent to try and fend off from Keza. That one won't be too pleased. They're going to go 3 wide. Almost. Keza on the inside. He gets the move done on Kent. He shuts the door, and Atsu's trying to go around the outside of the pair of them. He's not going to have the run, and Kent's off the road. He's facing the wrong way, and how has he got away with that? I don't know, but at least he's still in the race. But wow, that was good, wasn't it, Xerox?
Atsu was holding. I was on board with Atsu there, holding on against Keza. Keza throwing him off the road as best as he could. A little bit of lockup from him. I didn't see where the contact was on the other driver. I believe, who was it? It was Kent? It
was Atsu's just blasted past Keza for 6, but you're right. Yeah, there was. It was Keza and Co. And Ronan goes past Keza for 7th. Ronan's having a storming drive up the field. He's absolutely flying. And up to 7th place. He's up 11 spots on the mediums. He's loving life in his AlphaTauri. Maybe he'll get some points. And he pitted for a new set of mediums as well, so his tyres are in a really good spot right now. Those drivers before, me and Xerox highlighted it, when they pitted under safety car, fresh compound tyres are so much better than those that are even done a couple of laps more. It makes a massive difference on F123, and it's showing here because these guys, Atsu, Ronin, and Ads Lucas, have flew back up through the pack. This is great to watch.
Closing in. He had about 3 tenths coming through maximum seconds. He's now back about a half a second. Maybe a little bit higher downforce than Atsu on the straight.
Might just be Ads Lucas on the inside of Keza. This is all going to get a little bit messy. This isn't going to be free wide.
Oh.
And they got through it. Would you believe that? I've never seen that before, but 3 wide. And Lucas goes through. And here comes Edmund back up the inside using those soft Pirellis.
As contact on the inside from the Williams, holding off as best as he can. The Alpine can push through. He has the inside here. And I believe he's going to have the RS.
It's a bit naughty, that, to be honest. You know, there's a bit of squeezing off the road. Edmund's going to go through. But Ricky Maru trying to now fight his way back past up into the top 10. So he was facing the wrong way before Ricky, but he's back in the points. It's all kicking off here, and those drivers who decided to stay out, aka Lucas, Alex, Yuri, they can't fight off the new fresh Pirelli drivers. They just don't have the grip to fight them off. Clips is looking at the inside of Keza, but realistically through Cops. Come on, guys, keep it tidy. LDR Gamer gets a penalty, and Ivan Beloff, Xerox, is going to have a chance at JP. First time of asking.
Yeah, so 4 tenths gap between JP and Ivan. LDR is still trying to hold on. He's now about a second back behind him. Vasek, Atsu fighting for position. Vasek is dropping back as he almost comes in contact with the AlphaTauri of Ronin. Medium tire runners from P2 to P6 as we're finishing out the end of lap 10. Pretty closing gap, Atsu, Ronin, Vasek, and then we have Mr. Steen, LDR, and JP9. Trying to close in on Ivan. So 2 little groups here at the front as we've got a lot of people up close together. Chris Keary, P12, looking for Keza on hard tires that are twice as used as his. A little bit of curve there from Keza in the Alfa Romeo. As see if Chris Keary has an actually decent launch here.
We shall see if they can do that. I think Kez is really struggling at the moment, and the Red Bull breeze is on through. And that's Ricky going, trying to go past Lucas, but Ads fights back, and he's back into P9. And look at this, Vasek now falling out of the sweet spot here with the tyres that he's on. He's just getting swallowed up, and Edmund goes on through. Atsu is almost within DRS range of the top 4, and this is the grip I was talking about. The guys who pitted are benefiting immensely from the new set of tyres, and I said it before, the medium tyres at the start of the race, they're not good tyres to be on, and Ronin goes past for 5th. What a race this is outstanding.
I feel like our 10 lap runners from the beginning of the race, they're going to be coming in at least within the next 5 laps or so.
Ooh. Ads Lucas and Vasek side by side, and Ads Lucas goes through, and here comes Ricky Maru on the inside of the final corner. And if you see any driver that has laps next to their name that says 11, they're more than likely going backwards at the moment. They just cannot hang on. And this top 4 is a top 6 because Ronin and Atsu are joining in the fun.
Yeah, JP9 now 0.4 seconds back behind Ivan on those hard tires. Mediums and hards at this pace, and they have about the same pace, but it seems like the mediums still have a little bit more on them. But Ronin and Atsu are definitely going to have to try to work together to get ahead of these guys for that overcut for their second pit stop. Especially with these 11-lap runners, they're most likely going to commit to a one-stop race today.
Yeah, more than likely, that's what they're going to have to watch out for. Edmund and Ricky Murray, you expect back in the pits. Ads Lucas is the one to watch here. He is on 6-lap-old hard tyres, and I reckon they can go to the end of the race. I wonder if Ads Lucas can run it to the end. He's 4.5 seconds behind the race leader at the moment, and if he decides not to pit, the guys in front are going to have to try and pull. Well, if it were to pit to right now, they'd have to try and close the gap by 20 plus seconds in less than 13 laps. That's a challenge. Ads Lucas could be in prime position here to get a fabulous result.
Yeah, especially with how he's running, with a little bit of a lockup there as we finish the lap. But I'm looking at these top runners, JP9 and Mr. Steam, they're going to have to alternate their laps, decide who is running better and who's going to go in for their first pit stop. That way they don't sacrifice their position. But Ivan feels like he's running strong right now. It's going to be no, it's going to be the Mercedes holding the inside line.
Yeah, just hanging on from Ronan. Just hanging on, isn't he, at the moment, Mr. Steen? But you could see these two in the ascendancy. Edmund was almost within DRS, but I think those soft tyres are just starting to go away.
Move on the outside, down the back.
And he's through. Wow.
2 Alpha Calories up in the top 4.
Can we see
that penalty? Half serve. I don't know if that's a 3-second time penalty will be served at the end of the race. We'll have to see what the intervals are going to be like after pit stops have been finished.
That's the situation, by the way, of everybody for tyres. JP gets back in front of Ivan, so there's a swap there for the race lead as Joe Hamster some way behind now, sadly. It just sets a new fastest lap of the race. He won't get a point for that. He's not.
Steen, our first 12-lap runner from the beginning of the race into the pits.
Yeah. And I'm going to...
JP9 pushing long against Ivan. He was in the middle of the battle still already. We have the... I don't know. It's going to be a double stop from the Alfa Romeo.
I've got the leader gap open just so we can see when Mr. Steen rejoins the circuit how far behind the race leaders he is, because he was right with the pack before. And I just want to wait to see that delta tick over when he comes out of the pits. He's just about to now. You can see on the little bottom right is green, well, pastely green sort of blob is coming out of turn 2. And that gap is 31.3 seconds. That is going to be... First of all, he's going to have the undercut on the drivers around him. And those drivers as well who've put a new set of tyres on after the safety car. I'm thinking about Ads Lucas, Clips Kiri and Kerr, who put hard tyres on, who could run to the end. Could they do it? I mean, can they not stop to the end of the race and win it? I mean, that would be unbelievable if they did.
I honestly feel like they could. We're at the halfway point of this race. Those medium tires, Keza, Vasic.
Ivan in the pits.
Coming into the pits. JP9 holding out. He's going to wait another lap or so. As we'll see how Ivan comes out of the pits with Mr. Steen and Vasic later down the field. Looks like we have Ricky Maru on the soft tires coming in. Edmund on the softs as well.
Yeah, we have a load of stops coming in, and rightfully so. Ivan on the medium tyres. He got out in front of Edmund, who I'm assuming is going to go to mediums. There's a pit stop battle between Ricky Maru and Edmund, and the Williams crew get him out just in front. Where's Mr. Steen? He's exiting the final corner. Just watching Ivan. Is he on the throttle? He's on the throttle now. So the Ferrari is off and up the road. And he's out in front of Mr. Steen.
Just making sure that everybody's staying within the white line. All the drivers have been noted to make sure to follow that rule, especially us, making sure that they are following the rules. Trying to crack down on that. Any unsafe track entries from the pit lane.
I've got to say that
Power is still running P2, P3, so we may see LDR Gamer coming in behind JP9 to continue that fight.
You would expect them to, wouldn't you, at this point in the race, because they've run those tyres for quite a while. Ronan goes up into second place. That was a nicely coordinated move. And is LDR going to peel off? Yes, and JP9 in the pits as well. So let's see how everybody shuffles into position. Ronan carries on. He's in the lead of the race. He probably will have to stop again. I'd be shocked if those medium tyres made it to the end, as will Atsu. We know that Ads Lucas can make it to the end of the race, as can Clips Kiri and Kurt.
JP9 stretching out.
Soft tyres. Wow, that is brave. Let's see if he can pull that off.
On the soft tires. He's gonna, if he can manage those tires, then he will have a decent way to defend there at the end of the race.
Off he goes. He's got the throttle down. Where's Ivan? He's in front of the Mercedes, not by much, but by just enough to keep him in. If everybody pitted in front, the net lead of the race, but we know that that's not to be the case. Looking at the gaps, Ivan is 25.5 seconds behind the race leader. He's 22 behind Ads Lucas. Can anybody take...
Now we have all the long lap runners. Now 15 laps on the hards for Ads Lucas, or not Ads Lucas. Lucas Blaha and Kent.
Lucas will have to pit. Lucas and Kent will have to pit because they started on the hard tyres. So those guys will have no choice but to make a pit stop. But a couple of people in the comments saying as well, soft tyres from JP being very brave. He must have confidence to feel he can do that. We shall see.
He does have his teammate right behind him, so JP may be able to giving him a tow for now, and then once he starts falling off, then they swap as long as they don't have to deal with any other drivers, and Mr. Cena will get JP9 some tow.
Maybe they will. We shall see what happens henceforth. Ronin's still in the lead of the race. He's got Atsu right up with him. In fact, Atsu fancies a look at the lead at Brooklands. Here we go then, into the corner. Ronin lets him go. They know that they're in a fight with everybody else. They don't want to hold each other up. And
a little bit of contact on the Ferrari from the Mercedes of JP9. May have broke himself. A little bit of a lockup.
Well, he's going to have another attack, isn't he? JP9, he's going to have DRS. He's not going to be quite close enough to shape a move. And Mr. Steen, he opted for those hard tyres. I think he's on a really good set of tyres here as the second of the two Mercedes drivers. I think that hard tyre is a really good tyre to run in the last part of this race. Might not think otherwise, but with how this race has been today, you never know. Ronin back in the lead of the race. He goes past Atsu. Another change of lead. This is absolutely phenomenal to watch. Ad Lucas still in third position. Lucas carries on. Kent will no doubt carry on. But this is the fight for 8th place, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. You have two different groups of people racing right now. It's just a matter of the top 7 and when they come in for their pits and how they're going to play into the game of Ivan, JP9, Mr. C, and LDR Gamer. Especially if everybody in the back half of the field are going to have the advantage as of right now. But I feel like it's going to be a pretty mixed field. LDR Gamer practice sector 3. JP9, sorry.
Back at the front, Atsu and Ronin swapping again for the race lead so far. But they're doing it on the DRS. They're not doing it mid-corner. They're not doing it through battling and taking too much time off one another. So at the moment the strategy is working, but Ad Lucas 2 seconds away. Lucas now has got the attentions of the two Red Bulls behind him, and that Aston Martin is going to find it difficult to keep those two behind. But JP9 is already pulling away from Ivan, and he's going to try and get DRS from Kent, which it looks like he will, to be frank. And Ronin back in the lead of the race.
Yeah, JP9 getting tow from Kent and all of those longer tire runners. Unfortunately, he's only going to get it from Kent. If you guys see the gap there in Sector 3.
Atsu pits.
But a little bit of tow if Kent does come in on this lap. Giving way to the Mercedes.
Kent's doing a good job considering that his strategy and everything went to pot, and he goes into the pits. So Atsu and Lucas in the pit lane. So there's two of them down. Ronin out in front on his own. He would be known as the tyre whisperer if he could make those mediums last until the end of the race. But we shall see if that happens. The two Red Bulls are third and fourth. What a result this could be. I was saying last week about these two that they were both aiming to hopefully just get a podium at some point this season. They might be on for that. They've got 12 seconds to JP with only 7 laps to go. It's looking like it could be on for those two, barring any shenanigans. Xerox, what are you seeing out on track?
Our top 4 right now, definitely playing the long game to see if they have a better long fit. Those hard tire runners, Ad, Clip, and Tuh, all in the hard tires for 13 laps. We may see them coming on to soft tires, especially Ronin. Knowing Ronin from last season, especially in those medium tires, he's going to run to soft, and he's going to have a run for some points today. And I'm looking in the chat, actually. A lot of people are saying, where is this performance coming from JP9? We said his nickname a few races ago, the angriest man on the planet. But with the sprint race today and a previous race a couple weeks ago, I think we may have to change that nickname for him.
I still think he can be the angriest man in the world. I still think we should keep that name for him. But I've got to say, and I was trying to say this before, him and Ivan today have been absolutely outstanding. The problem they have is that with 7 laps to go, I believe none of the front 4 will decide to pit. If Ronin can make those mediums tyres last, which if he does, it would be impressive, that would be driver of the day, considering the fact that he started 17th and he's now in P1. But it's two minds, isn't it, really, now for the drivers? If Ronin pits, he's only going to end up outside of the points. He'll end up down probably where Lucas is in 14th. So he's probably thinking, try and make the tyres last until the end of the race, until maybe they fall off. We know the other 3 in 2nd, 3rd and 4th, they're not going to pit. They can run to the end of the race. It's all going to come down to, can anybody else join in that fun? You know, Ricky Maru's got a group of cars just behind him of Edmund, Vasek, and looks like Kez has rejoined an interesting battle there. But a couple of them have got penalties, 3, 5 and 3 seconds respectively. So, whoa, fasten your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. We've got 7 laps to go, and we'll see whether Ronin's tyres explode or not.
Yeah, JP9 on the 4-lap stop, about a 10-second gap. If he can get his foot to the pedal and get into the groove and close that gap, so he's definitely have somewhat of an advantage against those hard tire runners. And we could definitely see that these top 4 runners know how to stretch their tire life out, especially with the use of the overcast weather and no rain.
Yeah, it definitely looked like there's going to be no issues with weather now. It looks like it's brightening up as well. So we're just concentrating a little bit further down in the field at the moment. Vasek having a nice fight with Keza, who's just got past him on the hanger straight. So Keza up to 11th and getting the power down quite nicely. Atsu's there as well. Here he comes on the inside towards Brooklands. Can Atsu get some points today? He's past the Aston Martin for 12th position. Ooh, a little bit of a oversteer moment. Look at this from Atsu on the inside at Brooklands. He had so much more grip, but he just couldn't get on the power quick enough. That Haas, though, on the soft tyres is going to be electric in these remaining few laps.
Yeah, everybody's still trying to push for a position here. And I'm looking at the position changes. The top 4 gaining positions, the next 4 losing positions, and then it's back and forth. So the top 9 to 12 gaining positions, and then 13 on have lost. It's just mirroring what the tires were showing earlier, as we had some mediums and hards back and forth. And JP9 already closing that gap to 4.6 seconds. Cliff Curie into the pits for a short run on soft.
I'm surprised. I'm shocked at that. I was not expecting him to come into the pits. Maybe he cannot run those hard tyres any longer. I thought it would have been worth a gamble, but clearly Clip's deciding it's best to get out and get a new fresh set of boots on. But he's all the way down in 16th, and I don't think he's going to score any points. I feel like that's a mistake in all reality, and I don't like saying that, but yeah, Atsu up to ninth place. He's making his moves. He's having fun with those soft tyres. He's got a chance at a top 7, maybe even a top 6 here if he can get those Pirelli soft tyres firing on all cylinders. LDR Gamer still can't find a way past Mr. Steen over 6th position. JP is 6.7 behind Kerr, but 4 laps to go after this. I'd be impressed if he could pull that off, to be honest, if he could close that gap.
Ads Lucas is still trying to close the gap to running as well. You can see that time's starting to scrape away on that time. It looks like Cuz a little bit back and forth. The American driver for Tier 2, currently sitting P3. And he's trying to work his pace as well. But he has to pretty much stay where he's at, stay in the pace that he's in. As we have Ivan trying to close in on K29 for P4.
Yeah, those two pushing each other.
Yeah, they are pushing each other. They have been all day so far. As a little bit of lockups here and there from both of them.
Just riding on board with Atsu and Edmund over 9th place. For those that are wondering who Edmund is, it's Ed Asmanek from last week, or the week before it was Edmund. He changes week by week, but it's still him. Still the same driver as Lucas. Gets into the points in 12th place. It's not going to be many points for him this evening. Here comes Atsu then. Past the Williams for 9th place. And hopefully this time he can get on. Oh, and JP's disconnected.
Oh, no.
Oh, that is a shame.
Position there. It is over 75% of the race, but he does need to make sure he crosses the finish line.
Now, I'm going to say it. Adds Lucas, with 3 laps after this one to go, has closed the gap a little bit on Ronan, who will be effectively driving on tyres that will feel like blocks of cheese for him on the AlphaTauri at the moment. But he is still holding on. He must be in puncture territory at this point. Every corner must be an absolute voyage of discovery for this driver. But he's got 3 laps remaining. Adds Lucas and Kurt, they're on their way for podiums. But I think
a little bit of a lockup from Matsu there, trying to close in on the Williams.
They're still fighting, aren't they, these two? They're having a great scrap. JP's got back into the race, so he will get potentially 5th if he can get control of his car. But Atsu just can't drop the Williams, and that's really costing him getting up to the top 6. I think might be just a bridge too far now. And Lucas there in 11th place. So maybe Lucas is fancying his chances of getting inside the top 10. We will see. We're on lap 24, so there won't be any safety cars now until the end of the race. That's it. We will find out if Ronan can hang on for a first ever Tier 2 victory in Invictus. Adds Lucas and Kerr on their way. And Kerr on his way for a podium. He'll be delighted. He's just got a couple of laps remaining in this.
That would be a short break for Ronan, as he did win. I believe he won Tier 3 on the season opener. Unfortunately, it wasn't streamed there in Bahrain. But that'll be a short break between wins and tiers. Yeah. Probably the shortest I've ever heard of.
And Ronan's got a shuffle on. He's actually managed to get the gap back out to over 3 seconds. So this is his to lose now. The penultimate lap of the race. How he's making these tyres last, I don't know. I've got to highlight it because it's mightily impressive. A gamble that paid off. Mr. Steen still has LDR Gamer stuck behind him.
If you watched the Vegas race last season with Ronan, you would know that when he's trying to save his tires, he can save his tires. And what was surprising is as Lucas and Kuh are following in his footsteps, so to speak, everyone on the podium, 19 laps running, with about a lap and a half to go, and about a 2.5 second gap. A little bit of a buffer there. He did have a 3-second penalty, but he's been running good. and he can relax a little bit, not too much.
Yeah, there's a lot more to come from this race. We got a yellow flag out there for one of the McLarens. I'm not sure what that was about. Didn't look like anybody had spun off or anything. But we are just a lap away from the finish line. A lot of people are demanding an interview with this man, but unless he gets on the podium, that's not happening. So we will see whether anybody else can make a move, and Ricky Maru can. He's been patiently waiting, and he gets himself past LDR Gamer, whose soft tyres at this point won't be having the best of times. And Ricky up to 7th place. So this has been a nice recovery from both Haas drivers. They're both in the points, despite facing the wrong way earlier. They
Yeah,
are in the points, and we're on the final lap.
definitely a good performance today. Both passes, both Aston Martin, both Alfa Tauris, both Mercedes, all within the points. The standings are going to be pretty different as we come to see it next week. As
Yeah.
Ronan.
And do you know what I'm looking forward to as well on when we do get those tables? When we get those changes in position, you know, on the championship standings, and you can see how many points and places people have gained and lost as LDR goes back through. That's always a nice little touch to see, isn't it?
Yeah. Ronan was definitely leading towards the end of that season. That I'm losing track already. Last season, he was a good runner. He started this season in Tier 3, won the race by a significant margin. About 2.3 second gap. Adds Lucas having a penalty.
Yeah, he's just picked it up.
As he's going to try to push that gap here at the end of the race.
But we've got
P2.
We've got Ronan then coming into the final couple of corners. Lucas has made a mistake, so Kerr is going to get second. Odds Lucas might be off the podium, but Ronan takes the win. What a strategy call. The tyre whisperer, he shall be known as henceforth. And Kerr and Ivan Belov snatches the podium. What happened to Lucas? At the end, he lost a lot of time. JP9, despite his disconnect, ends up in 5th position. Steen, Ricky Maru, Lucas ends up in 8th place, our championship leader. Atsu, LDR Gamer, there's been some nonsense. I think Kez has retired before he's got to the final corner. I'm not quite sure what's gone on there.
I don't know what happened there.
But Ronan, what a result.
It's definitely a finish. We're going to have Ronan, Kuh, and Ivan Belov for the podium today. And I believe this is the first podium that I have witnessed for Kuh, my American counterpart here for Tier 2. But, yeah, so it's a good race today. Ricky Maru, the driver of the day for positions gained.
I think it has to go to Ronan, doesn't it? Realistically, driver of the day, surely.
He did a last to first challenge with the disc wall in the sprint race. Well, disc wall in the spin from the sprint race. I don't know what position he necessarily started. We'll have to look at that after the stream. Look back. But yeah, definitely an interesting race. And they're all on PlayStation. I don't know. It says JP9 is P3 here. That's the results for the weekend. My mistake. Results for the race. Ronan, Cut, and Ivan. Doesn't tell me if they are. Cut is on Steam. Ivan is on PlayStation, and Ronan is on PlayStation.
Well, we'll see if they can join. I've told them to come and join in the fun in our group Tier 2 chat that we've got. But the Tyre Whisperer, Ronanosaurus, takes his first victory in Tier 2 after being promoted from Tier 3. What a drive from 17th on the grid. Kurt and Ivan Belov round out the podium. Adds Lucas. We'll have to find out what happened from him in the end. Such a shame. He was on for a podium, but just seemed to lose all of his time in the last couple of laps. JP9 ends up 5th and gets a point for fastest lap with Mr. Steen. Ricky Maru, Lucas, Atsu, LDR Gamer, Clips, and Edmund getting the last point as part of the IRL points classifications. Vasek, Yuri, Alex, Kent, Keza, and Joe Hamster all finishing, and Doc Coke the only retirement from the race.
So I'm looking at the driver's room. As Lucas said that at the beginning of the race, he had 90% tire wear. And then JP9 says this game is going to be the death of me. Just running. I understand what you're getting at, JP9. You're playing so intently, and you get so mad at it, especially with situations like that. But yeah. So
Well, whilst we have a little bit of reverberating feedback going on, I'll let Xerox sort that one out. JP just said that I can now call him the angriest man in the whole of the UK at the moment, to be honest, considering what has gone on. But we will have a chat with Ivan, who has jumped into the chat with us. Ivan, you managed to snatch third at the end of the race. How's it feel, mate? Another podium, and nice to chat with you again.
Feels awesome, to be honest.
You had a great fight with JP all the way through. Were you conscious of just working with him, or were you just a case of I want to get in front and lead?
Yeah, I was just saving my ERS to fight with him on the last lap, but unfortunately he got disconnected, right?
Yeah, I can imagine that ended up being quite tough to manage and
Yeah.
deal with. Were there any challenges in that race? I mean, did you think that you could catch those guys who benefited from the stopping under the earlier safety car?
Um, I think I could have catched up. Sorry, it was the Red Bull. I just needed one more lap. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was Red Bull.
Xerox, do you have any questions or anything you want to ask Ivan? Oh, sounds like he's
Yeah, I can't hear him.
sounds like he's in a dial-up internet connection from the 90s going on there. Yep, that's still the case. Xerox, have a play about with your mic, mate. Have another go. No, never mind. So, coming back to it, Ivan, I mean, this is another good result for you. I mean, you benefit from the fact that Lucas didn't have the best of races today in terms of his results for the sprint and the feature. So that's going to close you all right up together for the championship. And we head to Austria next week. What do you make of that?
Oh, it could be quite chaotic, and I should prepare for it. But I enjoy racing against Lucas and JP and the other drivers. So
Fantastic.
hope it will be good. It will be good.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Let's see if we get some chaos. Xerox, any joy with the mic?
I just unplugged it. I'm using speakerphone. But
Fantastic.
yeah, you definitely had an interesting race. I don't know how my audio is now,
A lot
but
better.
yeah. So an interesting race from you throughout the entirety of it. You did pretty good and surprising finish there for the one-shot quali, and like I was in and out of the conversation between you and Jack, but you guys were back and forth throughout the sprint, leapfrogging, and then you guys had a little bit more intricate maneuvers there throughout the main race. But is there any part of this race where you felt like you weren't going to end up where you did?
Oh, I wasn't sure if I could fight with JP because he was super fast after Maggots and Baggots on the straight. I just couldn't catch him, and I wasn't sure that I could fight with him.
Yeah, definitely a strong play from the top three. What did you guys think? I believe with the top three running a pit stop from the safety car and running to the end.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, there we go. Well done to yourself, Ivan. Congratulations on another
Thank you,
podium for
guys. Goodbye.
yourself, mate, and see you soon. Well, Xerox, have we got any comments from either Kerr or Ronan?
I have some information from Ka. Honestly, very shocked at this result. Qualified P14, finished the sprint in P11, and at one point the main race was P17 and 18. Stayed out and getting help from my teammate in the DRS train was crucial for his podium finish. A very strong finish for you. I believe it's the strongest I've ever seen since I've been here in the league. And I don't know if I have gotten a response from Ronan yet.
The only
I'm not seeing one.
response I got from Ronan was tyres dead. So that probably gives us an idea of what happened with Ronan. I think he said he was at 74% wear. I do have an update on Ads Lucas though for everybody. I did mention this. It looked like he was on for a podium and then disappeared. He got a puncture with 4 corners to go. How heartbreaking that is. He was on for his first podium, and sadly, he's got a puncture and he's not reaped the benefits of what deserved a podium finish.
Yeah, the first thing he did say in the driver's room was that he had 90% tire wear.
Jeez.
So, yeah, definitely a strong point there. As way better performance than yesterday that we experienced as drivers for Tier 3. No rain to play in this situation. And, yeah, so Angriest Man on Earth, the Tire Whisperer, and I'm pretty sure there's plenty more nicknames to come for the rest of our grid here in Tier 2.
Well, let's hope there are, and the Tier 2 gang will be back next week, of course, for round 5 at Austria, the Spielberg circuit. You can go and check that out. Of course, we'll be streaming live here on YouTube from the Invictus Racing League channel, and myself and, of course, Xerox will be commentating on that. Xerox, before I finish up the stream, have you got any final comments before I make my own?
Yeah, not really. So we're only halfway through the rest of the week here in Silverstone. If you guys did see the action yesterday, you know what's possibly to come for the rest of the races, especially for Real Performance on Thursday. I sat in on Real Performance last week, and I will definitely do it this week to see how they do today. And yeah, so hopefully you guys stick around. If you guys are able to, go check out the social medias for the Invictus Racing League. Leave us a subscribe, like, and comment for engagement, especially if you guys are watching the playback of the stream. And myself and Jack will see you guys next week on Tuesday night. And the stream will see you tomorrow.
And that's absolutely right. You're not wrong on that. There's more action tomorrow from JPH and Bruce Lee Harding commentating on Tier 1. And the Realistic Performance League will be on Thursday as well. But from myself and Xerox, wherever it might be in the big wide world, have a good one. See you next week.